You know, I'm not even mad anymore. I'm just disappointed. Disney has been around for a long time, and even after you and I are dead and gone, these classic Disney films will still be looked at and admired by generations to come. And it's because Walt Disney had a vision. It was to bring these amazing, wonderful stories to life on the big screen through hand-drawn animation. And these films would always innovate, whether it's just the massive scope of the project or the perfection of some of those animation techniques. They would then really pioneer the 3D animation space, acquiring Pixar, also having their own Disney animated 3D studio. And unfortunately, they would then cut ties with the classic hand-drawn stuff altogether, with The Princess and the Frog and Emperor's New Groove being some of their last pictures on the big screen, using their old tried and true method. In 2016, they tried their hand at something else. A new version of The Jungle Book, presented as a live-action film. Real humans interacting with animated ones. No, it's not Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's not Looney Tunes back in action. This is using state-of-the-art 3D animation. Lifelike creatures and backgrounds. And The Jungle Book was a smashing hit. It looked great, it had a different twist on the story, took things in a darker direction, and it was kind of a fun, fascinating idea. Now, it's not the first time they have live action to their movies. There was a couple 101 Dalmatian films back in the 90s, but they were far and few between. Unfortunately, the success of The Jungle Book in 2016 would lead to a new practice by the studio, one that took everything in the worst direction possible. And that was this new idea of essentially just live actioning their entire library, but not in the same way they did Jungle Book. No. Because it turns out nostalgia is a hell of a drug. It is also a hell of a lot easier to write a movie when you already had the script done 25 years ago. And so the once respected, once beloved animation studio Disney, who gave us countless classics like Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, Lady and the Tramp, 101 Dalmatians, Jungle Book, Cinderella, Snow White, every single one of them is now back on the table for a modernized reboot. Hey, before I go on this grown man bitch fest, if you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe and the notification bell, that way future videos by me show up in your feed. I would appreciate it. All right, let's start crying. Now, I say I'm not mad, I'm disappointed because I've talked about this before in the past, hoping, I guess, that they would learn their lesson and walk away, but the lesson they've learned is these make a lot of money. Almost every time. Even The Little Mermaid that underperformed, still overall was financially successful for them. Because you got to keep in mind, Disney is not just the movies. Disney has merch. Disney has lots of movie tie-ins in different areas. And so they just need to have something out there that's popular enough or that reminds people of something they used to love. So yes, maybe that live action Little Mermaid didn't perform that well, but I can guarantee you interest went back up for the original film. And so they're making their money one way or the other. But even if they do miss once in a while, they don't give a shit. They got 3 or 4 more in the pipeline. And this is just a reminder to audiences, they're just prepping people for what to expect in the future. Okay, maybe you didn't go to this one, but you know in the future you're gonna get a Frozen live action and a Moana live action and a Lilo and Stitch. It's all happening. Why am I disappointed? Great question. It's because Disney used to make new and original awesome things. Remember Hercules? Oh, if you forgot, don't worry. They're making a live action of that one too. They're also trendsetters, and guess what? They have set a trend again. Because now DreamWorks has looked at what they've been doing over the years, and they're saying, holy crap, Mickey has a point again. They're just repackaging their old movies and making money all over on it? We can do that! Let's make How to Train Your Dragon! We can do all 3 of them! It's amazing! And wait, we don't have to tell a new story? We can just do the same story again? It's perfect! The other big bummer, not so much for me anymore because my kids are getting older and they don't care so much about any of the Disney crap, but they used to love it all. The big bummer is because audiences have been trained now to expect these movies and to go see them in the theaters, Disney's putting less effort and time into original stories, and they're suffering because of it. Oh, well, we put out this $60 million movie right to Disney Plus, and it's not doing very well. Granted, we didn't market it much at all. Like, why are they putting Pixar movies on Disney Plus day one? What were they thinking? They did it with Turning Red, they did it with Luca, they did it with Soul. That's insane. I understand it happened when COVID was still very much a thing, but still, these are huge movies. And if you're gonna train your audience that this kind of stuff can now go straight to streaming day one without any additional price point behind it, that's wild. And then in that same breath, you're saying, but if you want to see the live action of this, you're going to have to pay for it. This is the premium stuff now. And I feel bad for new generations because they're getting less original things for themselves. Disney knows that they have to get the parents to the theater, and the easiest way to do that is to market to them. So they just present a movie that we grew up with. Oh, you love The Lion King? Here's The Lion King. Now you can take your kids to it. Even though you have the animated one at home and it's still amazing and better than the shit we're putting out. I've heard this argument before, I don't know where, by stupid people, I suppose, where they say, well, we needed to make something more modern for new generations. I'm sorry, do new generations not like cartoons? When the hell did this happen? Oh, they have to be a blend of like soulless live action characters and some fugly looking National Geographic animals? That's what you think the kids want to see? There's a reason that the new Lilo and Stitch coming out has Stitch very much modeled after the cartoon counterpart and still voiced by the same person, because he's supposed to be a crazy, funny, cutesy looking psychopath. You make that thing look too realistic and you lose the plot completely. But then you look at the human Lilo and it's just not hitting the same as the cartoon version of her. And it doesn't matter how good the little actress is, she's just not going to be able to compete. There are things you can do with animation, feelings you can convey, stories you can tell in a very different tone. Animation can pull off a lot of humor you just really can't do in live action. What's more annoying is now in 2025, there really isn't much of an excuse to have something like Lilo and Stitch look as uninspired as it does. Just don't watch the movie then, Adam. You don't need to watch the movie. It's not for you. You're like a million years old. Well, fuck you. I know that. I know I don't have to watch them. That's not the point here. The point is they're taking time and talent and energy away for other things that could be made. Only so many projects get greenlit a year, and when Disney's making their focus on just repackaging the same crap, less inspired stuff is getting out the door. We have a new generation of kids that's growing up with nostalgia berries and not getting their own things. They just announced Coco 2. What? Coco 2? Did that need a sequel? It felt like a very self-contained movie. You just know they're gonna do a Big Hero 6 live action. I wouldn't be surprised if they did some fugly Wreck-It Ralph live action. You know Tangled's gonna happen sooner than later. You know Frozen's gonna get greenlit one of these days. If it already hasn't, I don't know. Maybe we do a live action Toy Story. Could you imagine that nightmare fuel? What about Monsters Inc? Fuck it. Let's do Cars. I think they're doing Bambi also. Oh goody. Can I watch a realistic looking deer get its head blown off? Oh my god, I hate this! Nothing is stopping Disney from using these IPs and telling a new story with them. You could have done a new Little Mermaid and just made it different. They did it recently with Mufasa, so I suppose good for them, but honestly, the first Lion King was so awful looking, there's no way I was gonna see the second one, or I guess the prequel. This is a really wacky idea, but they could also make 2D animation again. Sony's doing it with the Spider-Man movies. There was that Ninja Turtles movie that came out. I know they're not traditional hand-drawn animation, but they're utilizing a lot of the same techniques and they're giving it that feel. I would love to see something inspiring come out of Disney again. I would love for them to just freaking try again. Push the boundaries. Wow me. I don't even mind when they do the whole anti-hero villain bullshit, like with Maleficent or with Cruella. It's at least attempting to do something new, put a twist on the story, but I'm just bummed out by it all. I think it's lazy, I think it's half-assed, and I think it's just greedy. They just want the money. The biggest takeaway is if you go to a Disney theme park, I've mentioned this before on some other videos, but if you go to a Disney theme park, which I've been to recently with the family, I still have a great time, even though it's wildly overpriced and overpopulated. We've always gotten lucky when we've gone. Regardless, you will never see live action anything there. Granted, it's also because Disney doesn't give a crap about really updating their parks at all, But still, all of the attractions, all the posters, the merch, 90% of it is the animated classics, because kids still resonate with the cartoon versions of Beauty and the Beast, of The Jungle Book, of Aladdin, of The Lion King. It's rare when you see anything that's the modern version. So if the bullshit lie is that the new ones are for the new generation, you sure aren't presenting that at the theme parks. You sure don't present that with the mascots. And unfortunately, the lesson Disney's learning here is that people love nostalgia, so they can just keep redoing the same thing. A big joke that, I've said and others have said for many years is, what do they do next? Do 2D animated remakes of the live action remakes of the classics? That would be amazingly sad, and I wouldn't be surprised if they tried something like it down the road, but only time will tell. We probably have another decade of this shit to go before something finally changes, or they run out of movies to remake. Then again, in a decade from now, they can just start doing more sequels to the live action movies, or they will have enough new stuff by Pixar and randomly by their own studios that they can also turn into live action. Oh my God, it's never gonna end. It's never gonna end. All right, let me know your thoughts on this whole kerfluffle. Are you all in? Do you think these things are great? You would be the first person I've heard of that thinks that they're better than the originals, or even worth the time it takes to talk about. Let me know in the comments below. Please think of subscribing to the channel, as I post lots of movie reviews, commentary, live streams each and every week. Would love to have you stick around. All right, take care. Thanks again for watching the video. If you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate it if you checked out patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. That's where fans of my channel go to help support it. There are different tiers with different offerings, exclusives every month. We got multiple movie reviews. There's a vlog monthly. And even if you don't want to plop down $1 a month, you can just sign up for Patreon for free and become a member at no charge. Appreciate your time. Thanks.